All right, and now we are live. Hey, everybody. Thank you for
Hello.
coming. And we have
Hi, friend.
Lori off of work, done with work after 14 years. So congratulations
Have a break,
to
yes.
you.
Here's my water.
No beer tonight? Oh. And Miss Moni, the marvelous, magnificent, mad. Now I remember all of them.
Now that you didn't write it
Now
in.
that I took it down. Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Hello, Carrie.
And
hello, Lori.
And great to be back, ladies. We missed last week. I just had a lot of life craziness going on, and very excited to be back. And let's see, we got Robbie. Hello, Robbie. And Cece.
Hi, Robbie.
Number one. She's first, of course. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Hi, Cece. Miss you.
Oh my God, Cece. I always say that Charlie, my beagle, should be Doug. like that dog. Because there's squirrel. Because he's like,
I promise I'll never put
a.
I'll never put a collar of shame on you. I never. Of course. Hello,
You gotta
DA.
tell me who won. Hey, David. What's up? Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I need the word to spread about my little channel here. Hey, Peter. What's up, man?
Hey, Peter.
Thanks for coming,
Hi,
guys.
Peter. I actually saw Peter in a different
Peter moved. Yeah, he gets around. He gets around.
Good to see you, man.
Very much so. Very much so. So yeah. Let's see. Last week we had it end. Egg is trying to tell Duncan that this is a traders tournament, and he wants him to enlist him in the jousts as enlist. I don't know if that's the word, as the gallows knight. And Egg does not want to do it, but he goes and he pinches out, his candle and tells him he's done reading. So tonight is going to be the jousting, and we were just talking about it, and there's a lot of kind of extra stuff in here that we don't really need to talk about. Like, we've been through some jousts going through this story, that's for sure.
Yeah, so we're definitely thinking about like highlighting stuff, but if you guys in the chat want to review anything that we didn't mention, by all means.
Yeah, we're having a chilled out
but
stream tonight.
We're not skipping over this because this is might be the most famous, my favorite line of this little chunk that we're doing, because Carrie insisted upon starting here. You tell me if you can figure out why. Friends, the sun rose hot and hard, implacable.
Yep.
Yes.
Just like Alabama. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, sure.
Oh, guys.
Sure. That is okay. If that's what Alabama's like, perhaps I'm going. But
really, we have been getting afternoon showers.
I'm sorry, but ever since our body jokes from the last story, I can't get my head out of the gutter. I can't.
Oh,
I'll just lay it on the last story. Like that's where it all started.
So yeah, it's hot as hell, like the devil's armpit in this place, and nobody really gives a crap about what's going on. Now Thunder's pissed. It's too hot for any guy, and I just took my dogs to the park and just walked around, and you start pouring all that sweat from the humidity and just thinking about putting on an iron and the stuff on the padding and the helm, and it's just like, oh God.
Gross.
So yeah, if I was
the horses too, yeah,
I was a horse, I'd be pretty pissed off too.
Although I gotta say,
at Egg,
go ahead.
Sorry, go.
I gotta say, like, I was suspect. I was totally suspect though, because Thunder is,
Thunder?
Yeah, a good old war horse. So like it's like every single animal I see in the story, I think, oh, is it Bloodraven? Is Bloodraven
right? And yeah, we've talked about this. Anytime an animal acts out of character, you know, your ears prick, you know,
I can't help it.
A little bit.
I can't help it.
What's going on with that? Why is that? I think in this case, it's just like a little omen, that like it's not. They just shouldn't be doing this.
Egg's given him plenty of like, don't do this.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Like you haven't jousted since Ashford, and we know what happened there. You know, even the people in the stands, they're just like, oh, yay, great, you know, and whatever.
And it's been a while since Ashford.
It's been
at least 2 years, right?
2 years, right? Exactly. Right. So he just wants to win 2 tilts so he can, you know, have what he needs. They're breaking too many lances, taking too much time. He can't handle the crack of the lances and the noise, just the noise,
because he's so hungover.
It's like, get you the hair of the dog, man. Like, oh, and I found out about that in medieval times, or it could have been another time period. People thought if they put a piece of dog hair on the wound from a dog bite, it would keep them from getting rabies.
And that's where we get hair of the dog?
That's where you get hair of the dog.
Nice.
Not weird.
Nice.
All right.
Today, and why the British drive on the side of the road they do, and it's so back in the past they could keep their sword arm out. It actually goes back to the Romans, but okay, back to the
cool little tidbits, yeah. So as far as like the beginning of the joust, like the first 2 pages of this, I just have 2 notes that I feel are not quite like foreshadowing, but like links to things that happen later. So on the first page it says the mother herself would be foul-tempered in this heat. And later, a couple pages down the road here, Kyle the cat says something about how the mother's on his side, but then she's not. I'll kind of tie that back in when we get to it, but I wanted to mention that now. And then also how Dunk, like, because he's sweating and everything, he thinks back to when he was on the White Lady ship. And there's nothing said about it. And we don't really know anything about this White Lady trip they were on, except these little like 1-2 liners that he mentions throughout the Sworn Sword and this one. It just seems a little random. I mean, the analogy is that he'd rather be wet than soaked in blood, like he was on the White Lady when the Ironborn attacked them.
Yeah,
it was the only, but it was just like this random one line. It could have. So those are the only like 2 real notes I had about like the beginning.
Yeah, me too. I have that part about him being soaked by the end of the day in blood on the White Lady. Yikes! And then just about
the
Thunder.
White Lady itself is very like White Walker-y.
So you're
right about that.
And then I also have the next little chunk about the announcement. But yeah, I just have about Thunder being foul-tempered, and it's just like, is it Thunder alone? And then just yikes for those dang Greyjoys, the Ironborn soaking, fighting on ships. Because remember the last time he said he was afraid that he was going to drown in this little sea battle. His only time he was at sea. So
but not much more. We're going to go back and fight there.
So it seemed like a pretty important part of his life, and we didn't get the story on it. So it's just intriguing and it's mysterious. Is it important?
Well, this whole joust is I mean, and we'll get to it, a setup,
mystery.
Yeah,
like mystery night.
All about how much gold you can. Yeah, I mean, we definitely are gotten into the definite like perfect mystery story.
Like detective.
Episode. Like noticing certain words. Thank you. If I had a trumpet, I probably wouldn't want me to. I have a trombone, but an accordion. It's actually on the floor. It's actually on the floor in here.
Some accordion music.
I'm sure I have a keyboard with every instrument on it too. Carrie.
Probably,
right?
Robert.
Probably.
Yeah, he would be drooling, dying over that.
What is your name? I got it. I got you.
What?
He'd be like, "Oh, what instrument do you need? I got it. I have it."
Yeah. I have violins. I have you name it, tambourine, djembes, but just whatever.
Okay.
So
band practice at Carrie's.
We're in the joust, and they call Sir Argrave, and he's in service of Butterwell, and then Sir Glendon Flowers under the Knight of the Pussy Willows come forth and prove your valor, and then everybody cracks up laughing, and poor kid. Like, I really started liking Sir Glendon more and more during this part of this chunk of the story. So I mean, he does have a big chip on his shoulder, obviously, but and Dunk notices he doesn't have a breastplate or even like a face covering, and that is
right.
That's super. This kid's got some balls. Like, I know his name's
so
Paul,
he does,
no
and
pun
Dunk
intended,
thinks,
but yeah.
And Dunk thinks a blow to the head or chest could kill him.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is also foreshadowing.
Yes.
Not that Glendon, but whatever.
Hi, how's Sanchi?
Oh, did they come? Because Cece said she wondered where House Sanchez was, and I was like, yeah, I was wondering that too.
Ta-da!
Hello, House Sanchez. Thank you for making it. So yeah, a blow or to the head or the chest could kill him clad like that. But this kid, so he sees that Glendon's mad as hell about his introduction, and I'm Glendon Ball, not Glendon Flowers. Mock me at your peril, Harold. I warn you, I have hero's blood.
Pussy Willows, Knight of the Pussy Willows.
Yeah. So which,
funny.
I mean, we get it more further in the story, but it really makes me wonder why this kid was even like let into this in the first place.
Into the tourney or the wedding?
Both the feast and the tourney.
Hi, Marley.
Hey,
well,
Marley.
It's bad luck to turn away a knight at a wedding at a wedding feast. They did say that, so they kind of like, it's almost like open feast if you're a knight now, and we know that he's a knight.
They gave him trouble at the beginning. That was just
well. I think the big trouble is that he uses ball. Like this, the herald announced him as Flowers, which in the Reach, if you are a highborn bastard, you have the last name of Flowers, just like Jon Snow, because his father was from the north. So that was interesting though, like that, because I think that's his biggest gutsy move, is claiming that he's Fireball's son. Like, I mean, like, it's just like
and he's he's kind of obnoxious about it.
Really?
At the beginning, like before the tournament actually starts.
This is like what nobody's
okay.
I think that's his like defense though, like mechanism. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, like you said, as the story moves along, you really warm up to him. Yeah. And there's not a lot of characters in this story that I actually like warm up to, and he is like one of the two. You know what I mean? Like he has a little bit of an arc in there. Yeah.
I guess Rohan was the other one, or was it Eustace?
Oh, in the Sworn Sword. Yeah, no, I meant like specifically in the Mystery Knight. There's like 1,000 characters, but all of them I'm like.
Yeah, I know.
They're like inconsequential almost, but like Glendon is one of them that like I want to read about,
Yeah. Okay, so like you said, Moni, Duncan's wondering about the story about Pussy Willows and Egg. I'll have to go find out, and he's like, no, don't worry about it. And he tells Egg to get his helm, and he wishes he has that floppy hat like Egg does, even though he teases him about it, but better straw than an iron one. And then Egg, sir, it's not too late to withdraw. If you lose Thunder and your armor, and he's like, yeah, damn, I'd be done, but why should I lose? It's not as if I face the laughing storm. Is there some knight here like to give me trouble? Almost all of them, sir.
He likes to mention how the Laughing Storm is like his idol in tourneys and battle and one-on-ones and stuff.
Yeah, but I love that like little back and forth. I mean, Egg's like, oh, sir, what about Thunder and all of your gear? And then he's like, oh my gosh, nice rooting for me. He's like, do you really think anybody here can can beat me? And he's like, yeah, all of them. Like, let's go. Let's get out of here.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
Postern Gate is mentioned in this part of the story too. Like,
didn't notice that.
It's always thrown in there, which is the back or side gate, but yeah, it's always thrown in there. Do I have any notes about this? I just wrote, that I think Egg really, I wrote it twice, has this whole thing figured out. Not necessarily the what happens with the dragon's egg, but like these are all,
Well, and the other thing too, then
this is Traders, and he's
yes.
Go ahead.
No, about but I just have like they're a little back and forth, and then after, because he's like, Dunk, of course, is going to cloud him in the ear or something. He's just like, well, you're better with the sword than with the lance.
Yeah, he's trying to
like with an ace or an axe, like, so he's just like, and I put on the side, ooh, so complimentary. He's like, oh, okay, well, I'm not just saying, it's just like, but
well, this becomes a theme for Dunk too, like jousting. Being better with a sword.
Yeah, and you
or
suck
mace
at
jousting.
Yes,
because all the sword fights he's in, and he loses in the beginning, but he ends up winning, with his size and
strength. Just like his weight. Yeah,
right.
He's huge.
I don't know what happened.
Reach.
I know. I don't know what happened in the Facebook tournament. Who won that eventually? I haven't been on Facebook in a while. But yeah, I don't even. I know Mayor was towards the. Yeah, tell us about it, Cece. Okay. So yeah, he's trying to say, axe or mace, there are few to match your strength, and there was enough truth in that to annoy Dunk even more, because there's no contest for swords or maces. And now in the background, Glendon Ball and Argrave, the Defiant, or whatever, they're jousting, and he tells him to get his shield, and Egg makes a face and then goes to get it. And I just can't even imagine what that face, like, I don't know. In one part, it mentions he kicks the ground, so it could be something like that. I don't know. But Glendon hits this dude so hard, Argrave, that he busts the saddle cinch, and it just sends the Argrave and everything, the saddle, everything down off the horse, and he's in the dust. Was he drugged by the horse? No, not that guy.
Not yet. That's later in our story. It's quite the journey.
Dunk was impressed despite himself. Because they're all, getting matched up with who they want. And here we go with Kyle the cat, and what Lori was saying. The mother has been merciful to me, Sir Duncan. I'm sent against Lord Caswell, the very man I came to see. Lord of Bitterbridge, and they have the centaur, which you guys probably already know that. Sir Kyle, the cat of the Misty Moor. So Lord Caswell.
So going back to like the first page of this, the quote was, the mother herself would be foul-tempered in this heat. But then we have Kyle the cat being like, the mother has like blessed me with this matching, and it's like, no, she's pissed because it's really hot and it's not gonna go well for you.
No,
but it's like the fact that it was both mentioned, I just caught that little bit of
no, that's a good catch.
A good
catch.
Well, and the other thing I have on that first page is a man who has a center for a sigil should ride better than that. It's just like, really.
But this guy was one of the ones who was wasted last night too.
Yeah,
well,
right. But all the
wine.
same, it's just like, really, Dunk? Like, you have a hangman on your shield right now. Like, why are you tricked by what's painted on their stupid shield? Like, that it just slays me that's
The whole,
it's kind of like when I pick a bracket for basketball and I know nothing about March Madness, so I pick, will a Wolverine be able to beat a Spartan? Like, which one would win? So that's how I pick them in the brackets, because I don't know those teams. I don't know basketball. So it's just like, he's got a center. He must be a really good horseman. I don't want to fight him.
Yeah. I won a football pool just picking mascots one year, like which would be the toughest mascot. Yeah. My family does one. You throw in $3 and whoever wins gets it on just bowl games. So, but before that, we didn't mention how Dunk has been training for jousting, and it's basically Egg climbing in a tree up on a branch and hanging. I know the top of a barrel.
Yeah.
Or I can't remember the other part. Was it a shield like up there for him to
something? Yeah. Just target practice. Yeah. But he doesn't training. That often. Good old
It wouldn't take much to get like that off of the tree. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not like having another man on a horse like flying towards you with something pointy and, well, maybe not pointy, but pointy enough to hurt. So yeah, Kyle the Cat sent against this Lord Caswell. He made his first sword, and he's gonna lose to the guy on purpose.
On purpose.
That's his plan. Yes.
A cat who wants his bowl of cream must know when to purr and when to show his claws. And Dunk thinks this is like a really like dishonorable way to do this. So if Caswell so much as like bumps Sir Kyle the Cat, he's gonna tumble to the earth. And when he brings his arms and armor, he's gonna compliment him and tell him how awesome he is. And I made your first sword, and can I, be your man? Want to be your knight in your service? And so Dunk's like, okay, whatever you say. Good fortune to you.
See,
or bad if you prefer.
Yeah, but again, like he's thinking all that stuff is like, wow, that's so unknightly, and that's a really bad plan. But he says what he thinks he's supposed to say. He says the honorable, noble, chivalrous thing, right? Like, well, good luck to you, or bad luck to you then, because
whichever one.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because he always does what he thinks is proper etiquette. So he's just
he's courteous, and Sir Arlen taught him well.
He has his bold moments though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
he's a growing boy.
Egg being the vigilant squire gets the scoop on who he's matched against, and he's just like, yeah, they say that he's like pretty quick, and he's like, again with being duped by the sigil. It's like, what? Quick? He has a snail on it for a sigil. Like, come on. And so it's like, okay, how many times are you going to be tricked by this, buddy? But
so is this George's way of telling us, all of his loyal readers, not to be tricked by his sigils?
Right,
like how he brings in far into things too. Where Dunk just at service is like, you should ride like a centaur, and you don't. A snail is slow, no way. But we could just be like, whatever.
Right.
Like whether it be like the Danes or like what have you. We're like, oh my god.
Exactly.
Or not, who knows?
I just said, how cute is it that that's all Dunk thinks about is and then really this is a tough lesson, judging a book, ... So that I just thought, like, okay, buddy, you're okay.
Yeah, and it just doesn't really seem like anybody's really taking this tournament that seriously, except for Glendon Ball. It's just kind of like this throwaway tournament. Maybe I'll make some money off of it. Like, I don't care if I win or lose. No one's trying to be a champion except Glendon and like John the Fiddler
and Uthor. Well, he doesn't want to win his money. You're right. Yeah,
right. He's Mr. Unassuming with his little snail.
Right, and I think this is one of those events, like if you compare it to like Ashford or something, it's not a big deal tournament. It's like smaller scale, Like
Exactly.
these lords are like the lords that have all. They're
all
not
like
the highest of the high, you know. They're like lesser lords, really.
Well,
yeah.
in Dunk
Or have been made
too,
lesser lords because
or have been made lesser lords, exactly.
Yeah.
But he
or one's
notices
trying to rise a little bit.
That they're being called. He thinks that they're saving face for the lords because they're just calling the hedge knights to verse each other first. And he's just like, oh well, maybe that's because they don't want these like lords to lose face by losing to a hedge knight.
Hedge knight, yeah.
And
I like what he says about Kyle. I thought all cats landed gracefully on their feet.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I keep thinking of Arya for no reason.
Too.
Me
no,
too. The mention of the cat, I did too.
There.
Yep. I did too.
So Dunk looks at his shield and thinks those are ill-omened arms. May the warrior grant me a smooth and okay, that's just a prayer to the warrior. I was just making sure there wasn't another prayer to the mother mentioned in there.
No.
So he thinks this guy's older than him, half his size, and it's not going to be a problem at all to knock. And he's a snail, like Noni said, and it's not going to be a problem at all to knock this guy on his butt. Of course, Egg warns him, be careful. The other squires say that Sir Uther has a good seat and he's quick. This is when he says it quick. He has a snail on his shield. How quick can he be?
Yeah. Duh.
So
on, Dunk.
And he's glad he didn't like draw us like the old ox or Kirby Pym or some local hero. Dunk wonders if the master of games, there you go, Moni, was deliberately matching hedge knights against each other.
Yeah.
The ignominy. Of losing
like I'm like to save face. The one thing I did look up about the snail, and I was going to mention it.
Oh yeah.
Like, so hold on.
That was a good one.
Because I'm wondering if good old Georgie like tricked us at all. So
I have something about the snail too when you're done.
What is the symbol of a snail symbolize? Because of its slowness, the snail has traditionally been seen as a symbol of laziness in Christian culture. It also has been the symbol of deadly sin of sloth. And then Psalms 58 verse 8 uses snail slime as a metaphorical punishment. So there you go. That's what I got on the snail. There's also some other stuff about the shape of it and stuff like that, but
the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah, some really like good ones about, but like I thought that one was
very that is very
cool. Go ahead.
Because he mentioned the slime.
Yeah, later he mentions the slime himself. Like wherever a snail goes, he leaves a trail of slime, but a trail of slime never hurt anyone. Another thing I thought of was in the Sworn Sword. I was going to mention it later. I'll just mention it now. But Bennis, when Dunk is with Bennis and he's investigating the disappearing water, like at the very beginning, where it's just the two of them and they go, and he's like, he keeps saying things like, you shouldn't be turning over rocks, like don't look under. I forget the exact words, but he says it at least twice. Bennis to Dunk, like, so he told you not to go turning over rocks, and snails live under rocks.
Yep, you're exactly right. Very good.
You're welcome.
I like it.
Dunk and Eggs having anxiety headaches because they worry the hell out of each other.
Now the next little part he talks about.
Be careful, sir. Yeah.
Going by the three sitting on their cushion, and I have a big question. I have a picture of that, but so why does the new bride, like, okay, first of all, Dunk walks by or whatever, and so she's like, okay, because everybody know, like, much like Mrs. Duncan the Tall, our dear friend Cece, I think Dunk is a nice tall drink of water, and there's not very many ladies around, but we know that this lady happens to like the fellas. So she sees Dunk and immediately, like, he notices how bored and hot she looks, but then she sees him and she's like, ooh, and like adjust the girls and like
yeah,
so much so that like he like
just
gets
sticks
blushed
right out there, like
and he like so he blushes
and they took their lances, and
then she sticks her tongue out. What? Okay, what's up with that?
I reread that a few times. Like, how is that supposed to look in real life?
I know it's
I
know.
But
like
back off, Raybish.
Oh man.
No,
he doesn't like
if you
her.
were there, I'm sure she would have rethought that move, Cece. But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
but what was the sticking out the tongue?
Like, I just like behind Dunk, like
to prove like that she's just a little girl to us. Like, I wasn't quite sure. Like, so like, yeah, she does that. He gets all red in the face, and then she's just like,
out her tongue.
Yeah, like she doesn't like he doesn't say like licks her lips or bats her eyelashes. No, it's like
she's a kid. She's 15, right? 15.
Yeah, she's
so
just
that's
she's
her
just
way
a little girl
of flirting.
Okay.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, the Fraser.
I don't know if anybody else.
That's true. Oh, thank you, Lori. She's afraid. That's all you had to tell me. Was
from the kid
just keep winning. Yep.
Oh, so here's their little picture of them. Picture of them up there. Lord Butterball and
pictures as soon as possible. Butterball
and little girl Frey and
little baby Walter Frey. Yeah.
Which every time they talk about him, it's that he's a snot-nosed kid. Every time. I love it. I love that George like makes me hate Walter Frey even more. And stories 100 years before. I love it. I know. Who knew that was possible? So yeah, I thought that was like that one. I have the note about her, sticking out her tongue, and then finally some humility. I said because Dunk finally says, good armor and a good horse means a good ransom. If I unseat him, finally some humility from Dunk because so far he's just been like, he's got a snail on his sigil. I'm gonna I can't wait to
beat him. It's just I want to win the one after him.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this.
Well, he did sit with Sir Uther at dinner the night before, so like Uther, he's a gambler. Like he's putting on his poker face. Like he made himself even like slink in, sit next to Dunk and like the whole Hedge Knight crew and matched himself. Like
I should not be because I get to see the whole picture. I should not be judging our innocent hero because he just doesn't think that way, and I get that. Like,
well, he needs to learn.
You don't have a criminal mind. It's hard to think like a criminal. So I get it.
Right.
Like I said, these are like some major lessons for our dear hero.
Yeah.
All right.
Maynard gets onto him about that.
He sure does.
So he's looking at Uther's armor. I was like, oh, good armor if I get it. And so then it's time, and they're going, and Dunk's thinking we are one man, horse, lance. We are one beast of blood and wood and iron. And Uther is charging. I did have
one note about that. It's just like for the first time, like all this stuff was going on. It's all this craziness. And like where he says that we are one, the man, the horse, the lance, we are one. It reminded me of that Star Wars. I am one with the Force, and the Force is one with me. But that's another point. But it's just like finally he's got his head like in the moment he has his head in the game. Otherwise, like you know how you see like those elite athletes these days, like how they'll have their Walkmans on and they'll Walkman. I just dated myself. Their headphones on and they're visualizing the their course and like in their stuff. So it's just like, but not until he's like on the horse charging the other guy that he's like got his head in the game. It's just like this guy like,
and they've already
but he never had formal training.
Yeah. So Uther's coming hard, and let's see, he forgets about everything. Lady Butterwell and the sullen sun. That was kind of weird with the talking about the sun being so hot and beating down and everything. Maybe it's the time of day. I don't know. But only the foe remained, and so then Thunder finally. What is it? 80 yards that they go jousting. I think
know.
that's something like that. So he says that rhyme again. My shield is strong. No, he doesn't. I take that back. I'm sorry. Wrong. Beep. Only the snail matters. Strike the snail. And so like there's 10 yards left, and Uther's lance all of a sudden goes up and blinks Dunk right between his eyes.
And
like,
did anybody else get the like cartoon image in their head? Like I did with the birds,
the little birds, the little blue birds, yeah. But yeah, so that's exactly where that callback to that line at the beginning, where he's looking at Glendon's armor, and he's like, a blow to the head or chest could kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Foreshadowing Dunk's own injuries, as per usual in these stories.
And we know he has
always be on the lookout for those. They're always there in these novellas.
And they always mean something. Like Lori told me, no, he doesn't just throw crap in here. Okay, all right.
No, he doesn't.
Seems like
everything.
Seems like it sometimes, but no.
Kind of this, yeah. This
all right, so he's down. Dunk's down.
Yeah, and he wakes up, looking up at the arches of a ceiling. He didn't know where he was, how he got in there. Voices.
Is he gonna get knocked out every novella? Sorry. And wake up with some other maester, like every story.
To the end, like the end chapter thing where it's George or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, they're going to be continuing all over Westeros and Essos and all of this kind of stuff," and I'm like, "What?" So
do we know? Sidetrack. Sorry. Do we know where in Essos?
It didn't say what I listened to. I haven't looked it up though, or tried to. So yeah,
I just couldn't remember.
I definitely agree with you about that. And he hits the ground so hard, he like shakes the ramparts. That's what the maester tells him. But before that, when he's laying there, like with the birds, it's like Tansel's a bird, Sir Arlen, Bennis, Brownshield, the Red Widow, Baylor Breakspear, Arion.
Oh, is the Red Widow in there?
Lady Vaith. Then everything comes back to him all at once. But yeah, those are the faces and voices that he's seeing and hearing while he's
that was an interesting like group of people, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like
yeah. I wonder if there's any kind of theories out there, like similar to the Sansa Suitor thing, you know what I mean? Where it's just like that's a weird group of, names or whatever. Because he always thinks about Sir Arlen, Tansel, Baelor, and sometimes Rohan, but he never thinks about Bennis and Lady Vaith, and Arion doesn't come up quite so often, but all those people come up in this one. It's interesting.
That's why I was picturing them as each thing like
Lady Vaith, like
head.
why?
Yeah.
And even Bennis. And the only thing I can think about Bennis, and this is what I was saying earlier about the like don't look under rocks. Like quit looking under rocks. It's that unhorsed him. So like this is where I was going to mention that. Like that's the only thing I could think of in terms of Bennis. If anyone else has any other like ideas, but then unless it means nothing, but if something means something, then what does Lady Vaith have to do with anything? She was
actually one of Aegon IV's mistresses, and I don't know what happened with her and Duncan and Dorne and Egg. I don't know, but I don't think she had any children by Aegon IV, but she was one of his mistresses. So, Fire and Blood experts, please, if you know any different than that, throw it in there.
It just occurred to me, like thinking about Bennis of Brownshield. Remember, he ran off a thief. I don't want to do any spoiler. Thief. So why is Dunk dreaming about this?
Yeah,
he ran off a thief. Maybe that's why. I mean, I don't know, but it's just like
I heard or read in somebody's summary of the story that they did go to Dorne to find Tansel. Like, yeah, that's why they were there.
Seems true.
They never say that in the book, but yeah,
it's insinuated.
Definitely.
Right.
Because it's mentioned. Did you?
Then again, these boys just might love puppet shows. Love puppet shows.
I wonder how many they looked up trying to find her. Sorry, these things kind of hurt my ears. So he tries to sit up, and that's a big mistake. Any movement, I mean, imagine it's hot outside already. You get your freaking head bashed in by a piece of silver with a man and a horse behind it. He can't feel a hole in his head. His eyes are working at least.
And you know how like this is like priceless, right? How he's like checking. It's like his inventory of what's working. He says, so he sits up like and then he puts himself up on an elbow and like he's checking to make sure his eyes work. Yeah, okay. Then he like wiggles his sword hand to see. Okay, yep, those digits are all moving. And then he tries to talk to see if he like still has a voice. He's like, good morrow, like all horrible. And then he tries to sit up and it's like, oh crap. So obviously he has a concussion, a pretty bad concussion. What they say is it right between the eyes with well, we know tourney lances are 12 feet and they have what is it, a steel fist at the end of it? Or,
coronal.
Yeah. So that like on a war horse riding, he does have a hard head. He really does have a hard head. I mean, I don't care how good Steely Pate's helm was.
Armor.
Like, wow. That guy.
In a cellar I'm sorry to interrupt you, Lori. Did he
no, sorry, my mic was muted. I was just saying my armor is amazing. I'm Steely Pate in this live stream. I will be back in just 1 minute.
That's right. Okay. Did he wake up in a cellar at the Weber with Lady Rohan where there was drink and stuff, and he's like, oh, at least it's cool and there's alcohol?
It sounded like more like in Weber's he was taken like to the Septons like apocryphy.
That's
like, so there were stuff up. Like so but this is like the cellar, so it's cool, and that is something like because we know how terribly hot it is, and I think I've had a couple concussions in my day, and I can't imagine this guy like
I think I got one on that slide.
Oh, my poor friend. She's still suffering from a concussion. But like so he got his bell rung and rung hard, like this guy. And he's pretty tough, but oof. Poor thing is what I have written down.
Yeah, good morrow, just to see if he can talk. He realized he hadn't bit off his tongue. They would be dumb as well.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Dumb as well as
a lot, right? They didn't have mouth guards. Like if that's the first thing he thinks of, like, oh,
that's true. That would
I didn't bite off my tongue. Bonus, like, oh my god, wow, horrible. They're just horrible. Like these are really poor games. Like they're really not.
Yeah, hold on, I'm writing something in the chat.
On brand friendly. Okay, then the next part, like so the little maester guy is helping him out, and he's like, "Whoa, take it easy, slow down, big guy." And he starts asking him questions about like, where am I? Did I win? Did the other guy win? No, he doesn't ask, "Did I win?" He says, obviously, did he win the next after me? How long have I been knocked out? Like. And then he talks about a story that's kind of like Rip Van Winkle, right? Somebody who was like knocked out for 40 years and grew a beard or something.
Old guy. Yeah.
So that was funny.
And this maester, wants to look at his eye, and he's like, my head hurts. Be grateful it still rests upon your shoulders. And so he gives him the foul potion to drink, and it makes me wonder if that has something to do. I know his head is screwed up, like, but him walking against a wall and stuff, like, what did this guy give him, and did it have any effect?
I love how willingly he sucks down whatever a maester gives him. He drinks like every last drop. It makes sure to tell us that. Like the maester isn't insisting, make sure you drink it all. It's just like he's like, go, 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 go. He can't drink it fast enough.
Right.
So he knows they have the good stuff.
when he says something about idiots knocking each other off of horses, that like really, yeah, here we go. Men have been knocking each other off horses with sticks, and I just thought Lady Olenna, like immediately, because she says that about Sir, Loras is good looking, and he's good at knocking, or whatever she says, good at knocking men off horses with sticks. So.
Yes. And okay, was I the only one who like got this? Tell me in the chat. Oh, I wish Lori was here. I'll have to tell her later. But the part, okay, like I said, I've got like the blue humor kicking in here. And I think George does too, because I was cracking up at the Maester saying how, oh yeah, Lord Smallwood broke his wrist. Am I the only one who thinks that is funny? I'm like that. I just was like, I cracked up. I did. Like, I'm a sucker for stupid humor, I guess. But yeah, he definitely has his bell rung. And what else did I write on here?
Yeah, well,
he said, well, he had to chase him off to do his duty, and Dunk's like, what duty?
Yeah,
like
he
his
also
bell
had to
is
chase off John the Fiddler, who is down there. Yeah, your mount, sir, your arms and armor. And he knows that Egg will do what's required of him. I've lost the old man's sword. That's really gotta hurt. And the armor that's really forged for me. Oh, and then he says, your fiddling friend was also asking after you. He told me you were to have the best of care, and I threw him out as well. So
all Dunk's fanboys were there. Cece definitely would have been there. He never would have got Cece out of there. Good luck.
What do they call it when a nurse what's that the thing when girls feel sorry, like want to nurse a guy back to health, like I don't know if nurse, I'm thinking Nightingale, but I don't think that's
I know what you're talking about.
Like a Nightingale syndrome type?
Kind of, like that's how people fall in love, like
oh my gosh, oh no, like are you talking about like Misery, where she hobbles him to make sure he's a patient?
Not that crazy bitch.
I'm like, that's called something too. I want to take care of you. I'm gonna make sure you can't get out of that bed.
Right. That's what they like did to that's some old school. Woo.
Can you guys just let me know where we're at?
Yeah, we're kind of talking about like he's waking up. It's been 4 hours.
And how his head is like just his bell was wrong. He has no idea. He's like, oh, where are my clothes? I have to go. And he's like, if you can't I have to go do something. And he's like, if you can't remember, maybe. And he's just like, and I wrote in the notes, ring a ding ding. I was like, forget it, man. He's like, oh, but luckily, whatever that potion he gave him.
This doctor, avoid rich food, strong drink, and further blows between your eyes.
Good advice. And then sends him on his way.
Thanks, Doc.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I really like the hawk soaring, and he envied him. This is the hawk, because I see those a lot.
Yes. But what did you think first?
Whenever I hear any animal, I'm like overhead.
Then he just wants to fly away because everything's gone now. All of it's gone. Him being a knight, him being with Egg, him having a sword, him having a horse, everything.
He lost everything,
yeah. So
and now he's like, I should have had a V8. I should have listened to Egg. Duh. That's what I wrote. Duh.
Yeah. So he even thinks I should have heated Egg. That's written in italics. And he feels like the earth's moving beneath his feet. And speaking of the hammer and anvil, because that's Maker and Baylor, but he says the sun beat down his head like a hammer on an anvil. So I thought that
was good catch, Carrie.
Stuff thrown in there. Look at Lori's surprise.
That was a good catch.
Yeah, I didn't catch that either. Nice. But because I was too busy singing Carole King. I hear the earth move.
I was singing "Ring My Bell" just a minute ago.
Oh, that's like, because so I missed the hammer and anvil, but I like it. I like it.
So he sees plump Lord Alan Cockshaw limping off. Glendenball kicks his butt. And so then it's John the Fiddler and Frey. And the Fiddler's like,
yes.
Go ahead.
No, what stuck out to you guys?
Oh, just
about
how fancy everything is.
Well, the gilded ring mail. I was like, what?
Yeah, on John the Fiddler, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's got silver, like silk, a swirl of blue silk and golden swords and fiddles and, blah, blah, blah. And I like how they keep saying in here, he's fiddling up a storm, Yeah.
Everything's just gorgeous. But I was just like, gilded ring mail. It's like obvious, like, so this guy's a hedge knight, but he doesn't need he's not doing the bounty, like whatever, if you win, you get the other guy's stuff. He's forgiving that. He just wants friendship. He just wants the egg. I mean, he's talked about this. Everybody knows it. And it's kind of getting assumed that he's going to get it. Like, but right now, Dunk's just like, walking around. But I was just like, that's what stuck out the most to me on that page was, the gilded ring mail. I was like, whoa, that is fancy.
I had
That's
to
really
look up the words Polans, and Kucher. Not that sounds like a really nasty word.
Can you use that in a sentence? Wait, can you use that in a sentence, please? My Polian tickled the cooter. What? That's not what it means.
His breastplate was a nail of blue as well, as were his Polans, Coucher, Couter, Greaves, and Gorget. And I just looked up that Polians, or however you pronounce it, Polans and Coucher, shit, just basically mean like the things that go over your knees and your elbows. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about this.
All right, cool.
About my face is
vocab of the day. Knees and elbows. Get your minds out of the gutter, people.
Okay.
Knees and elbow protection.
Moni's got a dirty mind. Like really
I
bad.
do.
Okay, so let's see. Why does he think Dunk of the? Oh, because he lost to the snail. Dunk is the lung this thick as a castle wall. He had a snail.
He says a lot. This one.
How could you lose to a man with a snail? So Franklin Frey's down. Fiddler picks him up. Like he helps everybody. And Dunk thinks he's one step closer to the dragon's egg. And where am I?
Where am I? That's hilarious. And where am I? What's going on? Like, why is the ground moving? Oh yeah, that's right. Like I can't believe. So he must have like one of those things. Like, so it's not an outward goose egg, because like wouldn't he have like a goose egg between it? Like everybody should be like scared to death at the sight of him,
or at least like black eyes, But even in all of these pictures too, like he doesn't have that gash on his cheek. He should be having a scar on his cheek. Oh, does he have one on this one? Or is that just shadow? I can't even tell.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
on page 301.
My Kindle.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm going to show that in a second. We'll talk about them in a second.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and how Sanji
that's just illustration.
We're talking about this. So a postern gate again, and that's where he sees the 6 dwarfs that were at the feast. They're hitching their ponies to their wooden pig. And each is smaller. That's true. Smaller and more malformed than the last. Few might have been children. And so he says, "Hello, good morrow to you. Are you for the road? Clouds to the east could mean rain." And
trying to be polite and whatever.
Glare from the ugliest one and thinks, was he the one I pulled off Lady Butterwell? And up close, the little man smelled like a privy. So that was mentioned in the betting when they went into the chamber, that the privy was there. And I'm of the whole mindset now that these dwarfs went in there for Bloodraven, climbed up the privy, stole the dragon egg, and swapped it with a fake one. Could have even been before Dunk got a hold of it. You don't think that? Okay.
I think it's a good. I think it's a good theory.
I think that's a good theory. I do think that's a good theory. Mine is a little bit different. It's just a little bit different.
Right.
I think that
I don't think Bloodraven wants anybody having, like, especially if Blackfire having a dragon egg. So he's gonna.
It could be, but this might be wrong about who wants it or who ends up getting it. But I was like, the fiddler kept talking about these dwarfs. He talked about it at the fireside, I think, before they even got there. Like, make sure you come, dog. There's gonna be dwarfs. Like, come to the feast. Besides the fact that I want. But why does he know the entertainment the night before? Why do any of those guys who are at that fire know the entertainment the night before? And then also he sicks the dwarfs on Dunk when he's carrying up the bride, and they're all around his feet. So then they happen to, like, one goes in the bedroom to get her, and so he picks him up, but then he gets distracted by the egg. See, where
that's a possibility.
So I think that the dwarf got dropped in the room, went and hid. So that was the intent, to get them up into the room for sure, having Dunk carry the girl. But
to
they
what
didn't
end,
count on Dunk being distracted by the egg, so then he left. I think the dwarf was left in that room, like you said, to steal the egg out, or possibly replace it with a stone egg, but to steal it out through the privy. I definitely think that's what happens. But he's hiding in there.
Yeah, so we all think that the dwarves stole the egg. It's just a matter of who sent them. Is what you guys have different opinions.
Into this, it sticks out to me more that Bloodraven or Maynard Plum, whatever, it knows more than he should know.
Well, so Maynard Plum was talking about the entertainment at the fire that first night, that overnight by the lake, then perhaps, because I don't know that Bloodraven is Maynard Plum. I know everybody in the whole world says yes, it is. I'm not convinced of that yet, but he does. Whoever knows the entertainment, like, that is suspect, and that I was pretty sure.
You're right. It's a good leg to stand on for sure. I just think my only, like, contest to that would be that, like, or contestment, whatever the words are, is like, I really read John the Fiddler as someone who really is trying to get this dragon egg through winning the tournament. So like,
I agree with that.
That seems genuine to me. His efforts to win this egg, whether it's in a honorable way or not. I'm not convinced of, like, his, if it was on an honorable way to win or not. Who he is, being who he is, he has to know that, like, people are just going to fall. Be like, oh, you beat me, But I think he truly thought he had to win the tournament to get the egg. Like, I think he's of the mind that, like, that's one of the reasons why they're holding this coup at, like.
And you don't think that he's in on them paying off the contestants?
Huh?
You don't think he's in on the contestants being paid off?
I'm not sure. I don't even think it, like, super matters, to be honest. I think that he's just like, he is who he is. So it's like, he can't just think that people aren't gonna, like, kiss his ass like Kyle the Cat did to what's his face? Caswell.
Right. You're exactly okay, so he passes them and he's trying to, he said it feels like walking across the milk house is like as long as it took to cross the sands of Dorne, and he's keeping a wall beside him, and he needs to drink of water. And that's
saying something, because remember how long his strides are?
Yes.
So he gets places really fast. So this is like, oh God, because his head is split. So
I'd be
his brains are probably leaking
out with them.
Yeah, you would. Look,
and so he walks up on
definitely an egg bulge.
Hold it down just a little bit, Monica. Yeah, there we go. And what's in that bag?
That's what I mean.
Laundry. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure Naomi will be bringing some of that home this weekend.
Dragon eggs.
No, I will. Yeah.
Dragon eggs. Awesome.
I want one.
So he goes to find.
They're delicious.
Dunk goes to find water. What did Cece say? Jaharis was so plus about non-targ having eggs. I think this is, yeah, I agree. Miss Duncan the Tall. So he comes up on Maynard and Sir Kyle the cat, and he has a Scottish accent in the Audible books, and I think it's kind of Scottish. I think it's really
well,
cute.
this is why I don't think that the hawk is Bloodraven if you're of the mind that Maynard Plum is Bloodraven, because
I didn't think the hawk was
is circling
Bloodraven.
while Maynard is at the well.
Right, yeah.
So it can't be both, at least.
Yeah, see, well, I definitely think that he's in the animals. I don't know that he's...
I agree. I think he's in the animals, too.
So that does jive with mine.
I think it's in next week, so maybe I shouldn't say anything. But a mist comes up on White Walls like before they show up, and I thought that was really interesting. We'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
Hold that thought. They are like, "Oh, we heard you were dead or dying," and he says, "I wish I was." And poor Sir Kyle, Caswell didn't know me. Told him I carved his first sword. He stared at me as if I'd lost my wits. Said there was no place at Bitterbridge for knights as feeble as I had shown myself.
Poor lost cat.
He did take a pretty shitty dive, though. So
he did, but now he's a lost cat. And of course, like he's like, I thought cats always landed on their feet. I was like,
yeah, I thought that was a good one. It's another thing with the snail and the lion and the everybody's sigil, like them talking about dragons, like even though there aren't any dragons, they are dragons, that kind of stuff. What now?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. Moni had said something earlier too about like how this is a story of terrible plans or something.
Yes. This is the turning of horrible idea, or like just bad plans. Everybody's single plan, like just implodes.
Yeah. I mean, you have the whole like conspiracy
bad ideas
and the thing brewing, rebellion brewing, but then you have all these other people are just out for themselves, and so that adds into it, and it just makes it
should I know? I mean, they mentioned this Tom Heddle, like he's like a huge force to be reckoned with. Do I just like it stuck out to me? Like maybe I should know who that is, or am I just getting it confused with? I've been watching a lot of Harry Potter, so Tom Riddle.
Masha,
like it has nothing to do with this story.
No, Tom is Black Tom. He's only mentioned in this story, I think.
He's just super fierce.
Yeah, he married one of the daughters that
Butterwell's daughters.
Butterwell's daughters. Yeah. And I keep trying to find, but I wasn't able to. It's like inconclusive if it was one of the daughters that Aegon the Fourth hooked up with for Butterwell to get the dragon egg. Inconsequential path of research anyway, but I was just curious if there was like that circle, but I couldn't find anything like the title together.
Masha Heddle is on in the books, and she runs the inn where Catelyn captures Tyrion. And they show her on the show, but they don't really go into her name or anything. Robbie, we were thinking about doing Harry Potter after this, so it's
thinking about a lot of things.
Got all kinds of
a few weeks to decide.
I don't either, Miss CC.
All right, we're about an hour in.
So let's.
Is there anyone that we didn't say hi to in the chat that we should say hello?
Well, House Sanchez came in. We said hello to him, and I don't think so. Kalinsky, that's right. Kalinsky.
Oh, hello. CC killing it as usual.
CC, our chat, monitor.
Yeah. Awesome.
Peter Griffin came by and David Adams came by.
It's popping in and out.
I don't know if they're still hanging,
I have to say, like, this next part cracked me up because I love a good pun. And the cornier, the better. So
you're not alone.
It's so great, right?
Go ahead, Molly, take it away.
Maynard Plum gave a laugh because they were talking about how chivalrous, the flower of chivalry, that one, the fiddle of chivalry, you mean?
Yeah.
And that boy is fiddling up a storm, and all of us will do good to get out of here before it breaks. It's just like,
yep.
And then it was like, he takes no ransoms, a gallant gesture. And like,
Dunk just like doesn't even hear what Maynard's saying at all.
He just wants the dragon egg and the friendship of his fallen foes. And yeah, Maynard laughs. And I brought up fiddle because I had to look that up, and it's falsifying and cheating, and I cannot remember the third word, but
yeah, you're like manipulating a violin to play the fiddle.
Yeah. Yes, you're exactly. Good job, Lori. You're so smart.
Ooh, she's on.
I know my fiddles. I don't. I just like how it sounds and looked it up once, like 20 years ago. But that line in particular, I think it's funny, Moni, that you said that. He's fiddling up a storm and all of us would be blah, blah, blah. Again, there's a line later, I don't even know if we're going over it tonight, but when it starts raining, it's stupid, but like when it starts raining the next day, I think it's Dunk, he says like how all of the lords scatter at the first glimpse of rain drizzle. What would they do once a real storm comes?
Real storm hits.
Yeah, it's just a tie back to like the same type of way of saying it. I like that.
See,
how George does
that during that line, I started singing the Beatles. When the rain comes, they run and hide their heads. Couldn't help it. It was just like, so I'm like, yeah, I probably love, but it was like,
These are music.
Yeah,
but then so the next, gallant. He takes no answers. Gallant gestures come easy when your purse is fat with gold, said Sir Maynard. There is a lesson here if you have the sense to take it, Sir Duncan. It is not too late for you to go.
It's not too late for you to go.
Go where? Everyone's like, get out of here, bro. And he's like, where am I? Go where? Sir Maynard shrugged. Anywhere. Winterfell, Summerhall, a shy by the shadow. It makes no matter so long as it's not here.
Get the hell out of here.
Horse and armor and slip out of the postern gate. Again, you won't be missed. The snail's got his next tilt to think about, and the rest have eyes only for the jousting. So this is the only paragraph in this entire section that I feel like is packed with prophecy. Like not prophecy, but like could be telling. Okay, so one, we know that Dunk has mentioned Winterfell, that was like where they were going, and like that's not really a secret. So like if Maynard mentions Winterfell, that's not weird. Summerhall at this point in the story is a dead ass giveaway that he knows who Egg is, right? Because they don't. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. For sure, I could just be wrong.
No, Maynard knows.
There's no mention of Summerhall. Why would there be? Besides, make our sulks at Summerhall. But why would they tell Dunk to, randomly go to Summerhall? He could say anything, anywhere, and a shy by the shadow. So could be really, really far-fetched, tinfoily. But what if our Dunk and Egg in their story in Essos go to a shy by the shadow? Like in a future novella. So I'm thinking like the next novellas could include Winterfell, Summerhall, and a Shy by the Shadow.
That would
be I think they're gonna go.
But it's pretty random that he would say that. But I think the Summerhall thing is a nod that Maynard knows exactly who Egg is. And obviously Dunk is thick as a castle wall.
And I love that he spells it out for him too, just right before that. There is a lesson.
To be learned.
It's like, come on, it's not too late for you to go.
Yeah, but like, Dunk is
I mean, he does have a concussion in his defense. He does have a really bad head injury.
Well, this reminds me of Ned. And then I read something about when Aegon V sends Bloodraven to the wall and he complains that he gave up his honor for the realm. And so with this conversation, that kind of brought me back around to like what Sir Maynard's telling Duncan, like, forget about your honor, do what you need to do and get out of here, and Dunk's more worried about, that he thinks about it, but he
a big beggar. He says, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a beggar because he has nothing. Not only does he have a cracked head, but he's got nothing, like a sellsword without a sword
Yeah.
doesn't work. Like he doesn't have a horse now either. Like he's just but he's big, so he has that going for him. But again, Maynard says down here, he's just like, take your boy and flee, Gallows Knight, before your arms become your destiny. It's like, holy smokes! I put advice or promise. Like it's just like, I mean, this is the third time he's telling him, like in this little get together at the well, like get out of here. The first, I mean, the cat, Kyle, the cat's like, we thought you were dead, and now that you know he knows you're not dead, he just does not say get out of here enough. Like, right? Like, scram.
I like how Dunk's like, well, how do you know my destiny? Did you have a dream like John the Fiddler? What do you know of egg? And he says, I know eggs do well to stay out of frying pans. Like,
great line.
That was White Walls is not a healthy place for the boy. And so Dunk's like, well, how were you when you tilted? Oh, the omens had gone sour. And then he asked Dunk who he thinks is gonna claim the dragon's egg, and he makes.
But I thought that was really interesting. That's a really interesting thing to say. Why you didn't sign up, because the omens went sour. Like you were pounding the sour wine, maybe. I don't know. It was just something that was like, oh, the omens. So, anyways, yes, go ahead. Yeah. It was just like, oh, the omens went bad. It's just like, so he asked him.
And Dunk's usually pretty superstitious about stuff like that. So
right.
Yeah.
So he asked him, who do you think's gonna win?
And
so sorry, and then right. So then he's just like, I don't know, like, you know, the 7 knows, and he's just like, you have 2 eyes, like, just take a guess. Come on. And he's just like, the fiddler. It's just like, now at that point he could have said his buddy though, because he thought he was given a run for the money, you know, the Night of the Pussy Willows, right? So but he doesn't. He says the fiddler, and he's like, why do you think that?
Because there's
I just do.
He said something.
I just have a feeling.
About the guy,
I got a feeling.
And he's the only one that senses. Here we go, Dunk. You know, doing stupid stuff, but being the one to like change things like he does. But he does sense that the fiddler, something's up with him. Like he's not going to. Like he is the one that's going to get it. There's something about him. And Maynard says it's a bad feeling for any man or boy unwise, mentions boy again, enough to stand in our fiddler's way. And so then he finds Egg, and Egg is brushing Thunder's coat, and his eyes like far away. And so he thinks, oh, he's really worried about me since I fell, and makes the joke about making Thunder bald if he keeps brushing him. And
this is so sweet.
This is the best picture.
Hug and everything. Yeah.
It is. I have to show you this great picture, because it's just like, he's like, sir,
yeah,
I knew a snail couldn't kill you. Oh, I knew it.
And this part did make me sad, because like he's basically you know, he's cleaned all his mail. It's time for everything to be ransomed to Sir Uther. And it's time to do it. And he offers him rain and all that kind of stuff. And aren't you going to ransom Thunder? And he doesn't have the money to do that. But Egg thinks he could borrow the money. And then he offers him a place at Summer Hall. But Dunk will not go there without even a sword to offer, you know, as a place, or for a place there. He's not going to take any scraps off his father's table. And this is when they say it might be, when Dunk says might be, it's time we parted ways, and he could slink off to join the City Watch or Lannisport. And I was just like, no.
Yeah, he's at least, because he regrets not heeding Egg's advice on like not and like joining the lists, and now he's like getting straight advice from like Maynard, like Egg shouldn't be here, like neither of you should be here, but like Egg it's not just you shouldn't be here, Egg shouldn't be here, and like that got through to him. So now he's trying to be like, Egg, you need to maybe not be here.
And then one of my favorite hard things will only grow harder if you put them off. And this is where Egg kicks the ground and is like, okay, as you say. So he's going to get Thunder.
I didn't think that Egg got it yet. I still didn't think that that Dunk really was getting that Egg was in danger. It was just like, but basically I'm washed up, man. I was like, I don't have a future. I have to take you home now. And it sucks.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Sorry about the headphones. He would leave with, like Maynard told him, if he realized that someone else's life was at stake instead of his honor being the only thing at stake. Yeah. Then they would have taken off. Yeah, I've taught you what I could.
And he's like, what? It was so sweet. He's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and it's just like, and again, I can write that. Yep. Yeah. Oh,
same vibe.
Yes. Good job. So it is. It's just like,
it's time to go visit Sir Thor Underleaf.
They gotta give up the horse and the armor and the sword. Everything.
Which Sir Uther doesn't want his horse. Says it's too old.
No, he's totally mean. He's like, couldn't even eat it for meat.
And his armor's too big. So even trying to sell it to another armor to melt it down won't get him any money. I saw this dude is like worried about CC. My heart just melted. I know. But we know they can't part ways. Can't happen yet. So the outside of the tent is not as nice as the inside. So he keeps everything hidden away like a snail. It's piles of gold and silver, and he's got a squire in there, and they're biting coins.
But everything, plush carpets, feather beds, stacks of gold. Like, it's like crazy in here. It's like the plain outside tent.
Yeah. Yep.
Then you open it up, and it's like a cave of wonders, like almost. But yeah, so like again, don't judge a book by its cover. Hopefully our hero learns this lesson.
He's bitching at Will, his squire, that coins clipped, the other shaved, and then one, Will looks at it and he's like, well, it looks like gold to me, has a king on one side and dragons on the other. And he's like, oh, the hangman, good to see you moving about. I feared I'd killed you. And so he gives Duncan the coin, and Dunk thinks, like, is he trying to make a fool of me? But it's gold, not shaved or clipped. Weight feels right. What's wrong with it? And then it ends up being the king, and it goes through, King Aerys is bearded, like old Aegon. Daron wasn't clean shaven, but this wasn't him. And even though Dunk isn't supposed to be able to read, he can at least figure out that the 6 letters say Daemon instead of Daron, and it doesn't match the face of Daron. And the first Daemon Blackfire had his own coinage made. And Will says it's good gold, but the snail clouts him on the side of the head, and he's like, yeah, it's gold. Rebels gold, traitors gold, treasonous to own such a coin, and twice as treasonous to pass it. So we know Sir Uther's not in on this at all. He's just around showing off what a good turning night.
And he's there for the purse. He doesn't want to win the egg. He wants the 30 pieces of gold for second place. Like, this is how he makes his living. And we also find out in this exchange that it's not just on his results in the tournament, but it's also the side bets that he has his squire doing on the side. So so then we keep reading, and then he's basically like, you don't get it. You don't really know what's going on. It's basically, he starts breaking it down for Dunk, and Dunk's, he doesn't get it. And he's like, do you know why I hit you there? He's just like, between your eyes is a lot smaller target than in the middle of your chest. Like, you would have been off your horse either way, man. And he's just like, of course, that never occurs to Dunk, but in his excuse, he does have a cracked skull right now. But he's like, yeah, somebody paid me to do that. And then he's like, totally flabbergasted once again. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, he almost faints. He's just like, somebody wants to kill me. He's like, yeah, I got.
Oh, maybe that's not the part. Sorry,
go
ahead.
He got.
Well, I feel like we can, tell this whole story in like a summary.
Yeah, he got 6 pieces, and then 4 if he was dead. But so he's like, which is a really good price for a hedge knight. So you should be excited about it. So he's not like, so this guy is not in on the whole egg thing either. Like, it's just like, he just like somebody, he is totally in it for the money.
Rebellion.
So, right. So he is just like, somebody paid me to kill you, to put my lance between your eyes. I did it.
That's true, CC. And it makes me wonder how many people, like, during this tourney are using these coins. The Damon ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of details here that like are just insightful, but like of no consequence,
Yes.
Like, I didn't think about if he would have printed his own money. Now I know that he did.
Yeah.
Great.
And that's a really bold move, though, for somebody.
Bold, yeah.
Like, to mint your own money before you win, that's pretty gutsy.
No, it was his daddy's. Well, still though, but before.
But his dad didn't win yet.
Yeah, Damon the first had it printed of himself, or his people, his supporters had it printed, what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
But yeah, and then to summarize that piece of the story, and then we can, I guess, go back and talk about Glendon, what he learns about Glendon in the tent, right?
But we didn't talk about Uthor, like, wanting. Like, the only way Dunk will get back his horse and armor is if he agrees to travel with Sir Uthor and fall 20 times, and he'll give him 1/10 of his winnings. But that way he can get the wagers up, because Dunk is big and looks fierce on a horse, even though that doesn't matter in jousting. But, the common people don't know that. So it makes Dunk angry, and he says
he's not going to do it because he's knightly.
Right. And he's like, you want to make a fool of me. Well, I already have, busting your butt on the jousting field out there. And he says that he's a tourney knight and the best you'll ever meet. And Dunk makes fun of him for not being famous enough, but he doesn't want to be famous. Because he does want those 30 dragons for the knight that comes in second. And then the ransoms and the proceeds of his wagers. So his squire has been working hard. And let's see. Lord Shawnee gave 5-1 on the joust between Dunk and Uther Underleaf. And he goes into paying for who he's going to fight. Does that come up in this part? I know they talk about Sir Glendon, and go ahead with that, Lori.
Yeah, well, I was just going to wrap up the whole, because I feel like you said at the very beginning, this story is written out like a mystery novel, like a episode of Law and Order. Like, it's just very like, anytime you think that there's like an, ooh, is that a clue moment? Dunk is like, is something going on? It's not like it's like spelled out for you that like you should be thinking about this. Or it's like, I wonder, it's like, okay, well, actually, Sir Uther is going to tell you exactly what happened. So it really leaves little and less to guess about. So it's, if you just like read it chronologically, like, there's no guesswork. This is like a confession, like it's just let me tell you exactly what happened, and that's it. And then we just get like a bit of, just more evidence that Dunk is like super knightly and like won't become a part of this racket. But the only other thing left in that piece of it, I think Moni froze. She's just trying to,
I'm gonna check.
Right. Yeah.
I get her when she comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, they do speculate by the end of it. This is what I was saying. Maybe we'll just wrap up that part of like the information we got and then like go back to the Glendon thing too. Was yeah, like Dunk's like, well, who paid you to do it? And like to hit me in the face and like kill me or whatever. And Uther says he doesn't know
me a
who it
while to
was.
figure it out. Like I didn't
Yeah,
figure
but
that out till
again,
it happened.
it is
Yeah,
spelled out for you later. Like you don't have to
it
guess
is.
it. Like it literally, there's
Yeah.
confessions and confessions. It's like the person who did it, you know, like who committed the crime is like, I committed this crime because of this reason. And you're like,
John,
aha,
John's
put
one of
the
the biggest
shackles
talkers
on
of
you
all
and
of
take you to
them. Right.
jail, you know? But yeah, so then he speculates, but like who they speculate is very vague, you know, like, well, you know, basically it's because of you, Baelor is dead and Makar did it. And don't forget Arion Brightflame, like, was the real reason you were in that trial by 7 anyway. So these people have a lot of friends, like they're Targaryens, and then there's people who really wanted Baelor to be their king and he's not. So you have enemies everywhere. Meanwhile, it really like does it or doesn't it have to do with that? But then we also get the story of Glendon Ball. Glendon Flowers, the Night of the Pussy Willows.
Yes, because Dunk blurts out he has hero's blood, and then he's like, oh, hero's blood should be good for better odds. Whore's blood draws poor ones. He always speaks about his dad, but never about his mom. Wonders if then they talk about if Dunk's noticed that camp follower Penny Jenny, and that she fucked so many men she was known as Redgrass Jenny, but Fireball had her before that. I don't doubt.
Well, because she was known as Redgrass Jenny because she slept with like a countless amount of men the night before the battle.
That's crazy.
So that's why. Yeah, well, she was a hooker. So like then. Who knows who his father is? If she claims it was Fireball, it would have been from the Redgrass Field Eve, in which it could be any number of men.
Yeah.
And that's why he doesn't talk about his mom, because he's embarrassed by it. And it could obviously, and it could obviously put into question his parentage, like who is his father, obviously. But then, what was I going to say?
Oh, this guy says he
so it's Night of the Pussy Willows because she, and he doesn't have red hair. But don't you find it strange that Kyle the cat does have like red facial hair? Just funny that they mention that. I mean, he's older, but whatever. But the Pussy Willows comes from the inn in which Glendon and his little sister were raised, which was a whorehouse called the Pussy Willows. So that's why they call him the Night of the Pussy Willows. And over the years, like his mom died, and once she died, he was taken care of by, I forget who, I'm sure somebody could say it in the chat, like an aunt or cousin or just other ladies there.
The ladies in the Pussy Willows.
And then Sir
the mom story.
Sir Dunstable.
Morgan Dunstable.
I could be saying that wrong.
Yeah, you got it.
And wants to there was someone before that though or his somebody's squire trained him in knighthood
in exchange,
like how to like be a knight in exchange. I can't. Was that because when his mom was still alive?
I think
he was able to exchange the jousting and sword lessons for sex with his mom, maybe? I don't remember exactly.
It doesn't really.
But then later, Dunstable comes and he's like all drunk and wants to have his way with Glendon's little sister, who's a virgin. So he didn't have the money to pay for that. So he knighted him in front of 20 plus people in the middle of the Pussy Willows Inn. And then his sister, and then it says, his sister took that man upstairs and let him take her maidenhead for the price of his knighthood, which throws Dunk off totally. He's like, that can't be true. People don't do things like that.
Yeah, I know. He's like blown away. Like he's heard of people like getting knighthood with gold and with other ways, but never giving up your sister's maidenhead. And Kirby Pym, who is the knight,
this guy like seems to pop up everywhere, doesn't he?
Kirby Pym is the one that like tells the understeward, "Oh, go ahead and let him in." And he was one of the 20 people there when he was knighted, by Morgan Dunstable. So, anyway, I don't know what happened to Miss Monica, but
Me neither. I was just checking other messages too. I don't.
yeah, me too. So let's see. We'll move on from
She'll come
there.
back.
Yeah. If it's raining up there, we'll see. Cosgrove. So the man that's that's running the games, the master at arms. Cosgrove is as fond of silver as the next man. I promise you, I shall draw the old ox next, then the boy, which is Glendon Ball, and asked Dunk if he'd like to wager on it. And Dunk doesn't know what distresses him more, learning that the snail was bribing the master of games to get the pairings he desired, or realizing the man had desired him. And so he stands up. I said what I had to say. My stuff's yours. I'm leaving. And then that's when the snail throws in oh, well, you could come into my service and fall and win me money and, all that kind of stuff. And it's telling him he needs a better shield, like a bear's head or a skull or 3 skulls or a babe on a spear, grow your hair long and cultivate a beard. The wilder and more unkempt, the better. I thought that was pretty funny. So he's not trying to get the egg. We have John the Fiddler trying to get the egg, and the only other person is Glendon that's trying to get the egg, but nobody knows that Uther isn't trying to get it yet.
Right.
He's just out for the money. And this one he tells him that he could have struck him if the guy had paid, whoever paid him off to kill Dunk or hit him in the head, if he had paid him a little bit more, he would have made sure that lance went through his eye slit. So this guy really just doesn't give a crap about Dunk or anything else besides how much money he's gonna make.
Yeah, but a person who comes in second like 10 times in a row makes more money than someone who comes in first once.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strategy. Yep. It's a live-in, yeah.
Yep.
The only other thing that I thought was weird how is like Dunk is so noticeable and like pretty famous from the Ashford tournament that I think it's a little weird that Uther thinks he can be in 20 different tournaments and no one's going to know like who Sir Duncan is, and that like he actually falls in jousting all the time, like I would think that that Westeros would catch on well before the 20th time,
Mm-hmm. And no one has recognized him until Uthor, but with everything that happened, it just makes you wonder why that word hasn't spread.
Yeah, because this is a Blackfire tournament, and Ashford was a Targaryen tournament. Yeah, the people there are not the same people here.
Right.
You would think they would know more, though.
Let's see. I guess he must have been known to work his butt off quite a bit of regular spur training. Yeah. I think she's talking about Glendon.
Glendon, I think so too.
Yeah. Here's Moni. Next to the Pussy Willows, there was a stable. So he used to take all the lords' horses out, and he was always very good with horses. And that's one of the reasons he's an excellent jouster, because he's ridden all these different kinds, and he throws in a Dornish Sand Steed. I always say Sneed. Dornish Sand Steed. And so he's asking about who paid him, and that's when he brings up Baelor. And Dunk felt, this was something I like, that Dunk felt a cold hand on his heart when he mentions about Ashford Meadow. I know a certain hedge knight became the cause of a trial of 7, resulting in the death of Baelor Breakspear at his brother Sir Maker's hand. Think on my offer, sir. The snail may leave a trail of slime behind him, but a little slime will do a man no harm, while if you dance with dragons, you must expect to burn. So...
End scene.
End scene. he walks outside and sees Will inspecting Thunder, asks about Egg. He ran off somewhere, and Dunk thinks, oh, well, he can't bear to say goodbye to the horse, and he'll be back at the tent with the books. Goes there, hey Moni, goes there, and the books are there by his bedroll, and Dunk thinks something is wrong. He could feel it. It was not like Egg to wander off without his leave.
And he's now learning his lessons to go with his feeling, go with his gut. There's a lesson to be learned here.
That's very
he's
true.
Learning it. Dunk does learn.
Very true. Yes.
He does. It's just thick as a castle wall.
So he sees
it just takes him a minute.
2 dudes, and they make fun of Egg a little bit. Less hair than me and a mouth 3 times his size, and that maybe he just ran. The other squire scared him off. So he tells the guys if he comes back, tell him to wait for me. And he goes to the jousts, thinking maybe Egg went there. And as he passes the stables, he comes on Glendon Ball and asks him if he's seen Egg. And Glendon says he ran past a few moments ago. And he starts talking about his new horse. Lord Costain wants to ransom her back, but I told him to save his gold. Lord Costain. I was thinking Cockshaw. That was Alan Cockshaw. So Dunk said his lordship will not like this. There's your C's. There you go. His lordship said I have no right to put a fireball upon my shield. He told me my device should be a clump of pussy willows. His lordship can go bugger himself. And Dunk couldn't help but smile, because he's been treated that same way too. And he mentions Stefan Fossaway and Arian, Bright Flame, the Bright Prince, and just other people who've treated him bad.
Guess what song popped in my head for this moment?
What?
You got a friend in me.
Oh, the Toy Story song.
Yes. Pretty soon, like, they start talking about, he's like, well, I ain't gonna get anybody here. And he's like, well, I got your back. So basically, they're like, okay, buddy.
Yeah, that was a really sweet conversation.
Oh, Woody and Buzz moment. It's a Woody Buzz moment.
On this were, so we find out that Glendon saw Egg run past a few moments ago. Again, it's that whole like detective mystery style of this writing. Like, when did it happen? Like who, what, where, when, why. Glendon saw Egg run past a few moments prior. Then they speak, and we learn how Glendon basically passes Dunk's nightly vibe test and feels for the guy. Like, those are my notes. Like, everything that came out was just like, all right, so Glendon passed Dunk's test of like honor and
Stotts, Roundsies, Palfreys, Drays, and I couldn't find Stotts or Roundsies. Moni, you may know what those are. If she's, I don't know, she's having, I think, a little internet.
I'm here.
Oh, are you? Okay.
No, I'm still here. I'm back. I'm here.
I got you. Cool.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I don't really I've heard of all those.
Well, I couldn't find a definition for him, but and he's more sad than angry. Glendon is. He thought if he showed them all how good he was, they'd have no choice but to admit he was his father's son. But they won't even now. They just won't. And Dunk tells him some never will. There are good ones, but then most of them aren't. And when the tourney's done, you go with us. And thinks to himself, no one will laugh at you up there. They will only know you by your blade. And Glendon gets suspicious, like, you trying to get me to run away and hide? Oh, so true, CC. Men gossiping too. Yep. Wait, why didn't that pop up? Hold on. I didn't hit the right thing.
It did for a second.
There we go.
He's thinking, but that all of internal thoughts about how he was just like, north was us, you can get away from this. Like, he wasn't trying to say like, oh yeah, run away from your problems, even though, but that's how he took it. But it was more like, no, just people won't judge you up there. They'll judge you for your skills instead of for who your mom and dad were.
And he apologizes, but his thing, like, is he wants the white cloak that his father was promised. And there's no way in hell that's going to happen. No matter what, you know, it just isn't going to happen.
Hey, never say
and
never.
No matter what he says, he's a flower. He's not a ball. Oh, that's true. And that's kind of how I feel like, because what does Dunk say? He says, like, yeah, you're as likely to get a white cloak as me.
Which we know he gets, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Born a camp follower, I crawled out of the gutters of Flea Bottom. So Glendon, excuse me, he apologizes. Oh, and this is when he says, Lord Pete came to see me after my last joust, offered him a place at Lord Pete's castle, Star Pike. He said there was a storm coming, the likes of which Westeros had not seen for a generation. He'd need swords and men to wield them, loyal men. And the way to pass this loyalty test was to fall to John the Fiddler. And he's like, I couldn't do that even if I tried. So Peake's like, oh, you better watch your back. You know, you're a fool, you know, that kind of stuff. But he does confide in Duncan that this is going on. Cece, what a fangirl. Yeah, he was going to be paired against the Fiddler and I wanted him to lose. Let's see. I'm trying to get the Fiddler had many friends and he said I had none. Dunk puts a hand on his shoulder and squeezes. You have one, sir. Two, once I find Egg. And he says, it is good to know there are some true knights still. So as Dunk's looking for Egg, he gets his first look at Sir Tomard Heddle. And he's ugly as crap. Like, this dude's he's got boils and a chest like a barrel. He climbed out from under a rock for sure.
And we find out that isn't that the guy who was in the room?
He was on the roof with Lord Peake when they were talking about.
Oh, he was there too, but he was
like when Dunk was taking
also the guy in the room.
Yeah, so he was the voice, the deep voice when Dunk was peeing and overheard them. And he's like, does he have it? And it was that whole conversation. And then, he's the guy who caught Dunk being handsy with the egg.
Yeah, exactly, Moni.
And he just showed up like, put the egg down.
Yeah. And I love the jumble of words that rush back to Dunk. A beggar's feast you've laid before us. Is the boy his father's son? Bitter steel, neat sword. Is the boy his father's son? I promise you, Blood Raven is not off dreaming. Is the boy his father's son? See, I think when Maynard when they were at the inn waiting on the ferry, that's when he started calling all the people around to come help. But we can get into that next week. So he looks at the viewing stand, wondering if Egg had contrived to take his rightful place among the notables. And then he notices Butterwell and Frey are missing too, even though Butterwell's wife is still there, and he thinks that's weird. This is Butterwell's castle, his wedding. Frey's the father to the bride. These jousts are in their honor. Where would they have gone? So Uther Underleaf gets to fight the old ox, like he said, and then Dunk looks around and sees Will like getting the odds and stuff because the snail is feigning and like drawing it out the joust to make more money, and he's like, Dunk the lunk thick as the castle wall. I should have like placed some bets on this, but it's something he would have. He's not going to think of. He's actually thinking about Egg. What if the secret enemy of mine got his hands on him? Made as much sense as anything else. So then he's still looking for Egg.
I like how this is worded and right there when he's like, when you said, what if the secret enemy of mine has got his hands on Egg? He says, if someone has a quarrel with me, it should not be him who answers for it. I just
Mm-hmm.
like that line. I like the way that it's how it sounds on the Audible version.
Yes.
They quarrel with
You know what
me.
I noticed on the Audible version? They say algae instead of algae.
Yep.
That was kind of weird to me.
That's so British.
So he comes upon John the Fiddler being armed. No fewer than 3 squires buckling on his armor. Alan Cockshaw is sitting there drinking wine, looking bruised and peevish. So being a big pouty baby. And he sees Dunk and he sputters so bad he drips wine on his shirt, like, or on his tunic or whatever you want to call it. Like, oh my God, what are you doing here? And how is it that you're still walking about? The snail stove your face in. And
that's so brutal.
In my opinion, the fiddler talks like this. Oh, pay no mind to Alan, blah, 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 blah. Fireball's bastard knocked him off his horse onto that plump little rump of his.
So now plump little rump.
He hates all hedge knights. And
that's so funny.
I know. So and awesome. So Alan's like, he should have never even been allowed to compete. I'd have him whipped if this were my wedding. And John, what maid would marry you? And Ball's presumption is a great deal less grating than your pouting. Wow. Like John the Fiddler and Alan he's not feeling Alan Cockshaw at the moment. And Alan not like it one bit.
And Alan is just blaming this all on our hero.
Right.
But it's like, who knows? Maybe he's like spent his, I don't know. Like, but then again, you get the feeling that maybe this happens a lot. Like these little infatuations.
They grew up together, and maybe this is what I'm thinking is Alan wasn't what Damon was expecting him to be when he came back. And then he sees Dunk because he had a dream about him. And he's like, oh, well, of course I had a dream about him. He was going to be my Kingsguard. Plus, I think he's pretty hot, too. So, and Alan's just being a big whiny baby.
Right. It's like all about those dreams.
Over the years, that kind of thing. Because, well, that'll get, we're getting there, guys. We're not going to hold it over 2 hours. So, where are we, Moni?
I don't know. That's what I was just about to ask you. Like, tell me where we are. Because I had that.
Like page 318-ish, I think.
John is about to invite him. He invites him into the tent, the pavilion. So not you, Alan. You could do with a few less olives, if truth be told. He keeps making these slams at Alan. It's great.
I know he is brutal. Like, ooh, feelings hurt.
So the fiddler says, "I knew Uther had not killed you, and the snail will face me soon enough. And once I've unhorsed him, I'll get your stuff back and give it to you. And I'll give you a new horse because your horse is old and you could use a new one. And will you take it as my gift?" And Dunk's like, no. And the thought actually makes him uncomfortable, like accepting a gift from this guy. So he doesn't mean to be ungrateful. If it's the debt that troubles you, put the thought from your mind. I don't need your silver, only your friendship. How can you be one of my knights without a horse? And he tells him Egg is missing, and he thinks, oh, well, maybe he ran off with a girl. But Dunk doesn't buy that. He's too young for girls. He would stay with me until my corpse is cold. I know, that's very sweet. And then when John says I could ask my men to look for him if you'd like, that makes Dunk like really uncomfortable. He did not like the sound of that. My men. Yeah. And he thinks attorney for traitors. And that's when he confronts him. You are no hedge knight. And the fiddler's smile is full of boyish charm. And he's like, yeah, but you knew that from the start. You've been calling me my lord since we met upon the road. Why is that? The way you talk, the way you look, the way you act up on the roof. Like, Dunk must have been really drunk because all this stuff is just slowly coming back to him,
Yeah. But notice how like everyone is like asking Dunk to spell it out. You know?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He says, your dreams don't lie, but you do. John is not your true name, is it? And he notices that the fiddler has Egg's eyes. And then here comes Gormy and says his true name will be revealed soon enough to those who need to know. Hedge Knight, I warn you. Yeah, the fiddler. Oh, stop it, Gormy. Duncan is with us, or will be soon. I told you I dreamt of him, or dreamed of him. So it's time for the fiddler to go joust with Galtry the Green. And I like how they describe him in the patchwork, and he has a green beard like the Tyroshi. It made me think of Dario Naharis, because in the book, doesn't he have a blue beard or something? It's close to that.
In my memory, yeah.
Yeah. And so Gorman Peak says his dreams will be the death of us all. And Dunk asks him, what did it take to buy Sir Galtry? Was silver sufficient, or does he require gold? And Peak's like, oh, somebody's been talking. I have a dozen men outside. I could have them slit your throat. And Dunk's like, well, why want you? Aren't you going to do it? And he says that his grace would take it ill. And Dunk starts like, he says he feels like somebody punched him in the gut. Another black dragon, another black fire rebellion, and soon another red grass field. And he asks, why this wedding? And if anybody wants to take it from here, feel free.
I'm just typing in the chat.
Okay. Butterwell.
No, because I quit taking notes at the stars upon Mars. So, but I know this part. I read this part, but I didn't take notes. Yeah. So go ahead.
The wedding proved to be a plausible event for like-minded lords, the ones who were ready for another rebellion, to get together, because they all had to give up hostages and all that stuff after the first Blackfire Rebellion. The spring sickness hit, or they call it the spring.
Doesn't this seem like a part where, like, in the movies, the villain tells too much? Like, it's the
this is the
monologue of the villain.
It's like minute 45 of the hour-long episode, you know?
Twisting his mustache. Like, it's like, shut up.
Yeah, it's all just spelled right out for you. There's really not much to, like, guess anymore.
Except for
Mrs. Second the Tall, Cece was like, Alan is every mean girl in every high school movie.
Oh, Mean Girls is an excellent movie. Like, yeah, I love it.
And Alan is mean.
And so he's talking about
jealous and just petty and terrible.
Yeah, Eris is not a warrior. The commons don't really know him. His brother was threatened, but he had Baylor and Maker, the hammer and the anvil, but Baylor's no more, and Prince Makar sulks at Summer Hall.
Say that way too much, man. He's definitely not just doing that.
And Dunk thinks, and now some fool hedge knight has delivered his favorite son into the hands of his enemies. How better to ensure the prince never stirs from Summer Hall? But he throws in, there's Bloodraven, and he's not weak, and this idiot Peak thinks that if Bloodraven sees any sign, or if there's any, sign of him losing, or if he's weak or whatever, he's just going to run. Like, does this dude not know what Bloodraven is capable of? Like, I mean, what kind of idiot do you have to be, even to do this in the first place? Because he's pretty much the one that has gotten all of this going, from what I gathered from the story.
You know what? I thought from what they were discussing was just like, the Bright Prince was sent across the sea, right? They thought he was supposed to be there. So they're like,
who did?
This stupid, those guys talking. Didn't they mention that when they were talking when Dunk was taking a leak?
No.
They thought Bittersteel. He was like, why didn't Bittersteel come? But Bittersteel is not Aryan Brightflame. Are you just like confusing them? Maybe?
Yes. Maybe.
Bittersteel is Agor
I mean, I don't know. It's maybe, is that what you're thinking?
He's Dame, the first Damon Blackfire's brother, Agor Rivers. And he took all of Damon's kids that didn't die, the two twins that they mentioned in the story. He took them to Essos.
Arion Bright Flame also got sent to Essos, but in like a different capacity. Like he's somewhere else, I think.
He's cray.
Okay.
So yeah, Arion doesn't come up in the story except in Dunk's memories. So
okay.
Yeah.
I
so they were
think
talking about
you're just hairs got crossed on that one.
They were talking about
which is fine.
Fire then.
Blackfire Sword and Bittersteel. So yeah, so like for Tom, Black Tom, who we now know was like the guy there.
Tom
Gorman Peak is obviously the mastermind behind this whole conspiracy tournament wedding shenanigans. And
I'd say Tom Heddle. Yeah, Gormy.
I would say Gormy is the mastermind. Tom Heddle like is still trying to be convinced, and he's talking to Gormy like convince me. Like, are you sure this guy's like good for it? Like, does he have what it takes? Does he have Blackfire? Why wouldn't Bittersteel come if he was so good? Like, you know, and I mean, we learn more just from the World of Ice and Fire and stuff like that, like about the next couple Blackfire rebellions in more detail. But like Bittersteel does wind up like supporting other sons. He's not supporting this Damon.
Okay.
Yeah, because
and Tom Heddle needs to be convinced by Gormy that like it's still a good idea to support this guy, even though Bittersteel doesn't. And where's Blackfire?
Or didn't show up. Like, I mean, that like
didn't show up, didn't give him Blackfire, didn't support him at all. So
so they're fixing this tourney so he can get a dragon, and then they figure if he gets a dragon and can hatch it, because those are his dreams, they can win over here. That's like their plot.
Exactly. Like whoever has the dragon is going to be the one that people are going to flock to and or run from. Yeah, exactly. The dream, if the dream the princess dreamed becomes true, a living dragon comes forth here at White Walls, and the throne is yours. Dunk finishes. He says, no, it's his, Gorman Peak. But I am a humble servant. Don't try to leave the castle. If you do, I'll take it as proof of your treachery, and you will answer with your life. We have gone too far to turn back now. Do y'all want to keep going, or do you want to?
We're at 2 hours. This is a good place
to stop.
Yeah,
I was thinking so too. And then we'll do the last of it next week. And if it takes us a little longer, then that's what we'll do.
No, it's still like not 30 pages. Yeah, it's about 30 pages, which is what we typically do.
Find a good place to do.
So where are we stopping at?
In half.
321.
Okay.
Yeah, the final line. Do not attempt to leave your castle, sir, that Carrie just read. If you do, I will take it as a proof of treachery, and you will answer with your life. We have gone too far to turn back now. Except we have gone too far, and we have to stop.
I don't want to keep you guys, going longer, and my ears really bad. So I'm gonna whine like Maker. No, I'm kidding. I think Maker.
No, it's good. It's a good place to stop. It really is, huh? I always have fun. Thank you, Carrie, again for having me on, talking Dunkin' Egg and Blood Raven.
Yeah, CC and Kolinsky and David Adams. I saw him pop in a couple more times, and Peter was here earlier, and Marley was here.
Thank you,
Robbie. Thank you. And
thank you.
Going back, they're all Miss Duncan the Tall, Miss Duncan the Tall, Miss Duncan.
Because she's the
best. See, I know it. I got a hat from my parents went to Dallas, and I got a Texas Longhorns hat. I showed y'all. I had to send her a picture. Since she's lives out that way. Arian is currently serving with the Second Sons. Oh, okay. I did not know that, Miss Duncan. Thank you, Robbie. I really appreciate you being here. Really, really do. And
cool.
we will be back next week, and we'll finish this up. And
For the conclusion.
I'm kind of sad about it, but
hey, we're really trying to put together a trivia episode too.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's
for all three novellas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're still discussing what we're gonna do next.
Okay.
So,
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. It is craziness. Talking. We've got some big Targaryen fans amongst us. I'll tell you that much for nothing.
And I need to go through those
those darn tarts
and all that stuff. So
curses.
Everybody have a fantastic night.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Out there, and we will
Good luck
see
with school if you got school starting this week.
Yes.
And happy September.
I do not have school starting this week.
Oh yeah, Moni.
For the first September ever, like in forever, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. So
Robbie wants Harry Potter next. You know, Robbie, I'm gonna have to reread those books because it's been a while.
I have never read them. I've just seen the movies, so
they're so fun.
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they are.
No, yeah, and I need to have them at my house.
Lighthearted and fun, because just
until it's not.
or we can
it's not so lighthearted, but it is easy to read and just breeze through.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Cece. Wait, I was just gonna put up what she wrote real quick. Oh, thank you, Miss Cece. And we love you guys. And we'll see you next week.
Bye. Thank you for coming.
Bye. Bye.